it was our genuine desire to, like I said, get the ball back for a teammate who just lost it. Like we all just wanted to see each other succeed because we did have one goal in mind.
Welcome to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, the go-to podcast for high performers. I'm Andrew Moses, and each week I talk with Olympians, pro athletes, TV stars, Grammy winners, best-selling authors, CEOs, and other high performers to uncover their success secrets. Every conversation is jam-packed with inspiration and actionable ideas we all can apply to our own lives, personally and professionally. Get ready for a behind-the-scenes look at the techniques, processes, and mindsets powering the world's most successful people. Let's go. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Everybody Pulls the Tarp. This week, my guest is University of North Carolina lacrosse phenom, Chloe Humphrey. Chloe just wrapped up a historic freshman season where she led the University of North Carolina women's lacrosse team to a national championship. This season, Chloe scored 90 goals, the most ever by a freshman at the Division I level, and she recorded 28 assists as well. She was named the 2025 Tewaaraton Award winner as the best women's lacrosse player in the U.S., becoming the first female freshman to ever win the prestigious award and the first female freshman in history to even be a finalist. Chloe's trophy case is filling up, as she was also named the 2025 Honda Sport Award winner, the 2025 IWLCA Player of the Year, and the 2025 NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player. Prior to her time at UNC, she was named the 2023 USA Today National High School Player of the Year as well, and was a two-time state champion in high school. Simply put, Chloe is one of the best lacrosse players on the planet. And as you'll hear, she is also incredibly humble and a tremendous teammate who is passionate about helping everyone reach their full potential. Chloe and I recently sat down to explore her journey to lacrosse stardom and reflect on her historic 2025 season. She shared a behind-the-scenes look at many of the mindsets, techniques, and philosophies that have powered her success. Chloe's wisdom is well beyond her years, and this episode is filled with so many powerful ideas that apply far beyond sports. I hope you take away as much from this conversation as I have. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. So let's pull the tarp and get straight to Chloe Humphrey. Chloe, I can't wait to dig into your story and everything happening in your career at UNC, but I want to go way back to begin here. Where I want to begin, first memories of lacrosse. When and how did it start? What is your first memory of lacrosse?
Yeah, we definitely go way back. I live in Darien, Connecticut, so that's a major hotbed for the sport of lacrosse. So basically, you're born with a lacrosse stick. So the culture here is very oriented around lacrosse. And I think at a young age, you're just expected to play. So I actually remember it wasn't a good interaction, my first one with lacrosse. It was in first grade, so young. So we're basically the same height as the sticks. And they threw us into a boys' clinic. So we had to wear helmets and pads. And I remember going home with my mom and I was like, never again. I hate lacrosse. I'm never going back. And she's like, okay. Let's see. Maybe this first time wasn't good. But so the first time wasn't the best just because I was in the helmet and the pads. But I remember further down the line, it was definitely my sisters and seeing them in the backyard because they were a few years ahead of me. So they didn't have helmets on. They had no pads on. So I remember the memories got a lot better with them in the backyard. And that was kind of my first memory, was just playing in the backyard with them and watching them do these incredible tricks. And I just wanted to be a part of that so badly.
So the first kind of organized experience didn't go well, but once it was a little bit more informal and in the backyard, it was a lot of fun. Now, I'm curious, Chloe, when was the first time that you remember thinking, hey, I might be pretty good at this? I might be a little bit better than the average person. Like, when did that strike you for the first time?
Yeah, I was originally a soccer player. Like my heart was set on soccer. I remember my sisters were crushing on the lacrosse field and I was like, nope, I'm going to be the different one. I'm going to play soccer. So like lacrosse I didn't put much effort into, but at these tournaments and stuff, my coach was definitely like, you know how to handle a stick. Like you're pretty good. I remember one of my coaches said it's like a third arm for you. So I think like naturally I just always understood the game and I any game that I played in though I wanted to dominate. What like it didn't matter if it was soccer, lacrosse, basketball, anything. I always just had this competitive edge. So I think that was definitely an advantage. But I'd probably say around like third or fourth grade, I remember my dad was just like you could put some work into this game and like see where it takes you. So I was kind of just like inspired by that. But yeah, probably around like third or fourth grade.
You mentioned that idea of like always being competitive, and people that I've talked to that know you well say that there's a competitive energy to Chloe that is really unmatched. I'm curious, third, fourth grade, your dad says, hey, if you put some work into this, things could progress for you. What does it look like from there? Because it's still a lot to comprehend as a third or fourth grader that, hey, if I put a lot of attention to detail into this, I work really hard, I could get really, really, really good at this. What did that look like from there? What did kind of investing more time and energy in at that young age look like?
Yeah, even though my dad introduced that idea, like my parents have never put pressure on me to practice, do wall ball. Like it's always come from within, which I think also like has contributed so much just that everything that I've worked towards has just been driven like by me individually. So I think that I still was on the soccer wave until around, I'd say, I want to say like sixth, seventh grade. I remember I was still going to clinics in middle school and being like, this isn't for me. Like, I don't like it. Just because also like my sisters, that's all they did. So I was on the soccer field, but in the kitchen, all the chatter was around lacrosse. So I was like, I still want to stick to soccer. No one can convince me otherwise. I remember my mom was just like, Chloe, like, come on, like lacrosse is pretty fun. And I was just like, nope, like I refused. But then it was around when Nicole committed to UNC and I fell in love with UNC, the University of North Carolina. And everything from there was just, I remember watching the 2016 national championship game and like I was in awe. I was like, I need to be a part of this team. Like I need to know what that feels like, seeing them like run to the goalie after the game. And I think that was when like it was kind of intertwined, my dream for UNC and pursuing my career as a lacrosse player. Like those kind of went hand in hand. So I think it was after that 2016 national championship, which I think I was in sixth grade at that time, where things just took off. And I was like, all right, like I have one goal in mind and I'm going to achieve it.
In retrospect, I'm always curious to ask elite performers in any craft how doing different things helped them ultimately in the thing that became their most, like the center of their world. And one of the common through lines through almost all of the 230 or so conversations that I've had with Olympians, professional athletes, Grammy winning musicians, TV personalities, is this idea that doing a lot of different things and not over specializing at an early age actually helped them in the thing that became the thing. I'm curious, looking back, how do you feel like sticking with soccer a little longer than maybe you could have? How did that impact you as a lacrosse player?
Yeah, totally. I think it was the freedom that I had to do what I wanted. Like my parents, like while we were always talking about lacrosse, like they never made me quit soccer or made me pursue lacrosse. Like it was kind of just a natural increase in my interest in the sport of lacrosse, which I think it was just so special the way it happened and kind of like UNC dream beginning at the same time. So I think that definitely like focusing on, I played basketball as well. So it was soccer, basketball, lacrosse. And there was a point where I couldn't pick which one was my favorite. So I think like that just kind of not setting my focus on one, like again, one sport, it definitely just allowed me to kind of navigate through these sports and kind of naturally like figure out which one I wanted to pursue for the rest of my life because I really did love soccer. So, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm like, I don't regret any time I spent towards soccer, but yeah, lacrosse just definitely like my passion for the sport just took off after that 2016 national championship.
Well, UNC has a great soccer program too. So you could have been helpful over there as well. And I've had the good fortune of having some conversations with many Tar Heel women's soccer legends, Heather O'Reilly, Lindsay Tarpley, Christine Lilly, and more. So I'm sure you would have been helpful on that side of the campus as well, Chloe, if it had gone that direction. But I am sure that everyone around UNC Lacrosse is excited that you chose the lacrosse route. Now I'm curious, Chloe, I mean, it's one thing to have a dream to play Division I lacrosse. It's another dream to have like such a specific school in mind. When you kind of fell in love in that intertwined moment, as you so beautifully described it, where you witnessed that national championship, you watched it, and you said, that's what I want to do. Did you feel like suddenly maybe there was more pressure on you that, okay, like I have a goal, but it's a pretty like specific goal. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, I never felt pressure. That's also one thing. Like, I just set these lofty goals. Like, I remember just catching and throwing with my dad in the backyard, and I would just throw these crazy ideas at him, and he would look at me like I had three heads. Like, he was like, all right, like, tone it down a little bit. But I said, I want to be the best player in the country, and I want to go win a national championship for the University of North Carolina. And he was like, okay, like, if that's what's going to drive you, so be it. But I was very serious, and I was going to accomplish that, whatever it took. But yeah, I never like put pressure on myself. It kind of just, I set these goals, and it was kind of I had a one track mind. Like, nothing was going to get in the way of that. And I think, like, I always say, my desire to go win a national championship for Carolina just fueled all of my work ethic, everything that I did. Like, I'd be in the backyard for hours. It was an obsession when I was little. Like, I was in the backyard for hours and hours, just envisioning like me playing for UNC. But yeah, it definitely just took all the hard work, and I threw everything I could at this goal.
When you look back on that time when you were throwing everything that you had at that goal, had you at that point identified specific areas of your game, or were there mindset, more mental skills type things that you said, I'm a great player, I'm one of the best players in the country from a high school lacrosse perspective, but there are still some things that I need to work on? If so, what were those things, and how did you go about closing those gaps?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest part from the high school to the college game is just kind of like the mental aspect of it. And because there's going to be so much learning involved, and I'm someone who hates the learning process. So I'm like, all right, like, I have something I need to work on. Like, I just like going from 0 to 100. It's like the in between gets fuzzy for me, and the coaches can attest to that. I don't like failure. So I think definitely just like giving myself some grace. I'm definitely very hard on myself. So just like kind of understanding that nothing's going to be perfect. I think even in my first year playing, like, there are definitely still things, like there's a list of things that I still want to work on. Although, like, I can't really complain too much about the past season, but there's definitely things that I want to work on just for the sake of like our offensive unit. And it's all about just like how you work with the offensive unit. Like, in college, seriously, like, one person can't do everything, which was definitely evident in our team. I mean, I'm so fortunate to have such incredible teammates that push me every single day and can rely on every single day to bring their best. But yeah, definitely have to contribute a lot of it to the teammates.
Well, you referenced your 2025 season, a historic season by all accounts. You scored 90 goals. It's a single season freshman NCAA record. You won the National Player of the Year, as well as the award for the NCAA tournament's most outstanding player. The list here goes on: 2025 IWLCA Player of the Year, 2025 Honda Sport Award, the 2025 Tewaaraton Award, winner as the best women's lacrosse player in the country, the first female freshman to ever even be a finalist for that award. A historic season on so many levels. But again, just getting to know you a little bit here, you're never satisfied. You always want a little bit more, that competitive, that internal fuel that you talk about. But I want to focus on this historic season for a moment, Chloe. Even though I'm sure you've got, like you said, all these things that you want to get better at. Looking back on this season, what were some of the things that really helped you get off to a fast start as a freshman? I know you had the medical year, and it's a redshirt freshman year, but this is your first year playing at such a high level. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, definitely. I would say my injury last year is obviously devastating to not participate in the 2024 season, but I truly believe that everything does happen for a reason. Especially, I've dealt with the injury bug for quite a while. So I have to find the silver lining in every injury. But last year, just being able to watch on the sidelines was a huge advantage. A lot of people, some people who redshirt like are able to play the spring season as well as the fall. I only got the fall, so I didn't play at all in the spring. But it definitely just like seeing the pace of play, and Jenny would sometimes turn to me and be like, "Did you see why this happened here?" It kind of just allowed me to understand like the college game, and obviously playing in it, it's different than watching. Like I still do stuff and I'm like, why did I just do that? Like, so still definitely like learning through those patches. But yeah, it definitely just gave me an advantage of kind of understanding the game. But I think also like film was a huge, the biggest difference from high school to college. I mean, in high school, you watch on the TV, but you don't really like analyze the game as much as you do in college. So I would take a lot of time to go with Marie McCool, and I watched a ton of film over the fall because I was still like making mistakes that like over and over again. So I was like, all right, I need to like really understand like why this is happening and what. So that definitely gave me an advantage as well headed into this first season.
That whole idea, Chloe, about kind of something that was really a disappointment, I'm sure, for you, the injury, not being on the field, but the way you were able to use it as an opportunity to get better, I think is just such a remarkable idea for us to put a pin in, that I think anybody listening, regardless of what we do, whether it's sport or otherwise, can learn from it. When you were on the sidelines, when you were injured, instead of being disappointed, looking down at your feet, being frustrated that you weren't out there, you were using it as an opportunity to learn. And like you talked about, there's just a different perspective when you're watching something from the outside as opposed to being in the trenches. And I'm sure for a lot of players like you, elite players in high school, there's probably not a lot of time sitting on the bench. You're probably out there almost all the time, if not all the time. And then a player like you gets to the collegiate level and the same thing happens, starts playing a lot, is on the field, doesn't have a lot of time to kind of sit back and observe. And you had that, fortunately or unfortunately. And it seems like you used it to the best of your ability. Were there one or two things in particular that you realized, hey, like just from sitting from afar and watching, that you felt like you were really able to put into action once you got on the field?
Yeah. I think one thing was just pace of play. I am someone who always likes to push it. I just like, I see the ball and I just want to go to the net immediately. But like with the 90-second shot clock, there's so much value in like holding the ball. And they always say like the ball is gold. So you need to take care of it, because I'm a very like risk reward player. So like if the play does go through, it's incredible. But if it doesn't, you're kind of like, what the heck were you doing? So definitely just like time management. That was something that I really took away from being on the sideline.
All right, everyone. We'll get back to the conversation momentarily. But first, I want to tell you about my free weekly email newsletter, Tarp Pullers. Each week, I share an uplifting and inspirational tarp pulling story that is sure to brighten your day. And I also highlight some of the most powerful ideas I've learned on my journey talking to 200 and counting of the world's top performers. The newsletter is short, concise, and a reader recently told me this. She said it makes her day every time it hits her inbox. Go to everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter to sign up today.
A big thing also was just like a whole new perspective of the sport. Like you see, because like you were saying, like I usually spend time on the field rather than on the sideline, which is like, I'm so fortunate to have that. But you like hear the interactions, see the interactions on the sideline, which like I might not have ever had the opportunity to. So it just like allows you to see the sport and my team both on the field and off the field, which I think has been like critical in just like getting to know my teammates and creating those bonds. There were also a bunch of, I mean, I think we had like 9 injuries. So it was something crazy like that. So I also was able to create a lot of new friendships that I don't think have had if I hadn't gotten that injury. So it definitely just like brought me closer to the team and kind of understanding the sport from both perspectives.
Chloe, everybody that I talk to you that is close to the program or knows you a little bit, they talk about just how humble you are, even amidst all the success and accolades that you've achieved. What a great teammate you are. The way you cheer for your teammates, the way you're just as excited for your teammates to succeed as you are for yourself to succeed. Where does that come from? Is that just something that's been ingrained in you from your days playing lacrosse as a kid, playing soccer, playing basketball? Talk about that.
Yeah, I think Like there's nothing better than just seeing like someone that you know puts in so much work succeed. Like that to me like doesn't there's nothing that beats that feeling. And at practice like you see the work that these people are putting in and may not be able to show it like on game day, which obviously like we have such a talented team. So, but like to see the people that do get in and succeed, like you just know, especially in college, it's like you live with these girls. So you just know everything that they've like gone through and whatever to lead up to that moment. I think like a huge one was my sister scoring in the Final Four game. Like she has been through hell with her foot injury and just seeing like all of her hard work and recovery. Like although like it hasn't paid off in the ways that she would hope to, like her scoring in the Final Four game, it's moments like that where it's just like there's so much that just builds into that one goal that no one understands. Like Carolina fans are just cheering for the team. But I think that stems from just my genuine desire to win. I think like it doesn't matter how the job gets done as long as it is getting done. I'm someone who never has strived for individual accolades other than being number one in the country. That was kind of just to set myself apart from everyone else, not necessarily to like to call myself the number one player in the country, because that's
more of an internal, it was more of an internal motivation, a challenge for yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to create that gap. But yeah, it definitely is just like my goal has always been to win a national championship for UNC. It's never been to be an All-American, to win a Tewaaraton Award. Like those things I think just come as the team like kind of comes together and succeeds. Like I think that that's definitely was evident this year. Like our team was just so dominant, and those accolades I'm so honored to have received, but it just shows how incredible our team was. We went undefeated and won a national championship. So it definitely stems from just, I've always been competitive and I've always just wanted to win. And however way I can contribute to that is just kind of like what you see in my play. Like if the game's on the line, I'll definitely have no problem being like, all right, like give me the ball. Let's get this over with. But just like, because I want to win. So I think that that's definitely like, if when my teammates are scoring, that's just as exciting when I score, like obviously, because there's just so much pride I have for the Carolina community. And anytime the ball goes in the back of net, I'm like, all right, like doing it for UNC. So same way with my teammates. It's just like the feeling is can't be matched.
Chloe, I'm always curious to ask people who are as competitive and as driven as you are, how you manage your energy, because no matter how competitive or how driven or how intense you are, nobody can go 1,000 miles an hour all the time. When you're that motivated, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You can drive yourself really, really far, but also sometimes you drive yourself to a point where your body then tells you, or your mind tells you, hey, a little too late. Hey, I got to take the foot off the gas a little bit. I got to manage my energy. Talk about managing energy. How do you go about that when you have such an intense drive and competitive spirit?
Yeah. Well, I've tried that a few times, going 1000% of the time. And I ended up with 3 stress fractures in the past 4 years. So that doesn't work. Jenny always says to me, like, your biggest strength is also your biggest weakness. So that drive is also what inevitably has caused me to be on the bench for a lot of my career, just because, you know, like I will push myself past my limits. And it's that drive that kind of just stems that work ethic. So I think a doctor once said to me, like, you need to learn how to work smarter, not harder. So like that's been my motto ever since my foot injury. I had a back stress fracture my sophomore year of high school. I had a hip stress fracture my junior year of high school. And then I got a titanium screw drilled into it because it didn't heal. So then I was finally healthy my senior year of high school. And that I felt like I was able to just play freely without injury. So yeah, it definitely, my biggest strength is my biggest weakness. And now, like I was saying, like film has been a huge difference for me. Instead of just pounding my body in the backyard, now it's kind of like understanding the game and kind of like the rhythm of the offense rather than just shooting. Like I definitely, everyone always like gives me some, I don't know, I was going to swear, but like kind of like
say whatever you want.
Give me some shit for saying like, oh, my shooting isn't sharp, like whatever. But I think like I haven't been able to shoot as much as I'd like. So it's kind of like I have to sacrifice some areas of my game. But like while I'm sacrificing some areas, I'm trying to improve other areas. So just like IQ and stuff like that. So it's more behind the scenes work that I've been working on rather than the physical aspect of it.
It's such an interesting point that you bring up because it really is a balance, right? The way I look at your story is you have to do everything you possibly can to stay on the field, because when you're on the field, you're an incredible player and an incredible contributor. But if you try and optimize every aspect of the game too much, then the whole thing falls apart and you're not on the field, right? And you've experienced some of that throughout your career. It's really interesting how you've been able to start to kind of weave all this together and say, you know what, like if I'm not out there in the backyard or I'm not working on this, it's not like I'm not doing anything. I'm always kind of finding a way to get better in these different aspects. And it's almost like you're looking at the game in such a broader context than you've ever looked at it.
Totally. And I think that these injuries give me that opportunity too. Whereas I would still be spending my time in the backyard, whereas like now I'm just kind of, like you said, broadening my game. And yeah, it's definitely just allowed me to kind of increase like my areas of expertise in the sport of lacrosse.
What about the days that you walk out onto the practice field and you say, you know what, like I'm just not at my best. Like I just don't feel as well as I'd like to, physically or mentally. How do you get the most out of your performance in those moments? Because that is so common. I think everybody, no matter what we do, we deal with that, right? It's rare that we're at our best. It's also rare that we're always at our worst, right? We're usually somewhere in the middle. And what you do with that middle ground, I think it says a lot about with the outcomes that you achieve. Talk about that for a moment, Chloe.
Yeah, definitely. There are days like you're just dragging a long school day. You had an exam that didn't go so well. Happens more often than I'd like. But Jenny always says just give 100% of what percentage you have that day. So if you're at 50%, give 100% of that 50. And if everyone on our team, because some people are going to be at 100, or maybe not 100%, but some people are going to be at 90%, some people are going to be at 30%. But if everyone on our team can give 100% of that percentage of what they have that day, then we'll find success, like somehow. So you can't just kind of go internal and be like, all right, this is not my day. Like you kind of need to look to your teammates and, rely on them to be there for you, because we have each other's back, especially like this UNC culture. Like we play got your back lacrosse. So if I turn the ball over, like I know I have 3 other teammates chasing that girl down to go get it back. So it's awesome in that sense, just to be a part of such an incredible team culture and just know that everyone is giving 100% of what they have that day, because it's not going to be perfect. And there are days where I'm like, wow, that was a rough one. But like, you can't think about it too much. You have to have the memory of a goldfish, and you wake up the next day. And I always just say, all right, like this is my day. I'm going to come back from that rough day yesterday. And it all just throughout the week, like it all just evens out. Like just as long as you're putting 100% of what you have that day.
The memory of a goldfish and got your back lacrosse. I want to dig into those a little bit more, Chloe. So the idea of got your back lacrosse, and I think we all like going through life when we feel like people have our back.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, when you've got a team environment like that, where there is this got your back mentality, and it's clear that it's not just a tagline for the UNC women's lacrosse program. You've talked about it, how that's what it's really like. What do you think are some of the driving forces in making that not just a line that you could paint on the wall in the locker room, but you actually bring out to the field? What contributes most to the got your back lacrosse mindset where you're lifting each other up?
Totally. Yeah, we definitely take it literally. Like there'll be plays and we say in film, like that was got your back lacrosse. Like it's actually something that we talk about and we say. But this team this year was just so special. And I think last year's disappointing season definitely contributed to that, just because, especially the girls on the sideline, like we were all looking at each other like, this isn't happening next year. Like we're turning this program around like this. Like I think it was one of the most disappointing seasons that UNC's had. So we were like, we're turning this around. Like next year's our year. And it was just like our team having a one-track mind. Like we all had one goal in mind and we talked about it and we knew that that's all each of us wanted. So just being all on the same page definitely contributed to that. But not only like the got your back lacrosse, but just our culture in general this year. Like we all just had so much fun. They didn't announce captains, I think, until it was like right before the season, but you would never have known who was a captain. Like we had freshmen stepping up, we had sophomores, like juniors, seniors, 5th years. It was everyone was just so like attached to this goal. And it definitely just like created such a fun environment for us. So it was our genuine desire to like I said, get the ball back for a teammate who just lost it. Like we all just wanted to see each other succeed because we did have one goal in mind. And I think that was very evident in our play this year. Like I remember there was one play where I got checked so badly and I was like, oh, and I had no gas in my tank to go run and get it back. But you see like Olivia Vergano, Caroline Godey, and my sister, like everyone is just sprinting towards that girl and they checked her and got it back. And I was like, thank you. Like I didn't have anything to like, I left in the tank to do that. Like, and it just is, that's the best feeling, just when you know your teammates have your back and they're going to work their butts off to go fix a mistake you made. And I think that was just like something that made our team so special this year, is we just had one goal in mind.
And it goes both ways, because a teammate that wants to pick up another teammate in many ways is doing that because they know that you'd be there for them. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's this two-way street. And I think you deserve a lot of credit in that too. It's a cycle that all works together. I truly believe. Let's go to the other comment that you made there about the memory of a goldfish. So obviously you're alluding to having a short memory, forgetting about stuff, moving on. Do you have a mechanism, formally or informally, that you use to try and stop yourself and just have a fresh start? Is there something that you do at the end of a day or beginning of a new day?
Yeah, there's definitely, like, I try and just like clear my mind. Sometimes like I will journal or write my thoughts down, just because like some days there's just so much going on between school, sports and stuff. So just like writing down my thoughts sometimes definitely helps, and just like kind of understanding why I'm feeling a certain way and then like kind of figuring out ways to turn it around. So I think that's definitely been helpful in having the memory of a goldfish, because sometimes I do dwell on mistakes longer than I should. So yeah, definitely just like identifying why I'm feeling a certain way and kind of figuring out ways that I can turn that around.
Chloe, as we get ready to wrap up our conversation, I'm curious. I mean, you are already a role model to so many. The spotlight continues to grow for you now that you've had even more success here in 2025. It's just a historic year. Do you think about the idea that you're a role model to so many who already look up to you in and around the sport and even outside the sport, right? Do you think about that? If so, how do you manage it? Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, it's definitely so inspiring, just because I've looked up to so many of these lacrosse legends for so long. And now to be a part of that conversation is just like, it's literally like, I have no words for it. Like it's just like a full circle moment. I just remember that little girl inside of me that looked up to these girls so much. So I just want to be the best role model that I can for any of these little girls, and use the platform that I now have to support women's sports and lacrosse in general, and support causes that I feel passionate about and stuff like that. So just using my platform for the better good, and definitely just like portraying myself as someone I want to be like as welcoming as possible. I never want someone to think twice about coming up to me. So definitely just being as positive and welcoming as I can. That's definitely like my goal for all these little girls, because I know like how it feels, and it's just incredible to now be a part of that and meet so many incredible like little girls who have the same dream that I did one day.
What is one thing, Chloe, that 2025 National Player of the Year Chloe Humphrey would tell that third or fourth grade little girl, Chloe?
Oh my gosh. I would have so many things to say, like, but definitely just keep loving the sport of lacrosse. Like, as much as you give to lacrosse, it will give back to you. I mean, no one had to tell me that when I was little. Like, I loved that sport so much. And the work just was driven from my passion of the sport. It was never like external things that drove that work ethic. So definitely just like keep loving the sport of lacrosse. Because like I said, if you give so much, like it will give so much back to you. And it definitely has stuck with me. But also, like, everything happens for a reason. I think, like, especially through my injury journey, like I would just tell myself, be patient, because it's so hard to see in that small window of like when you get the injury to see the bigger picture. But definitely just like everything happens for a reason.
Chloe, so well said. I've so enjoyed this conversation, learning from you, exploring your story a bit. Congratulations on all the success. There is no question in my mind that you are a tarp puller. You live the everybody pulls the tarp mindset in everything that you do on and off the field. A certified tarp puller, forever a part of the everybody pulls the tarp family. And we'll have to do a part 2 again sometime. All right?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I had such a fun time.
Chloe, thank you so much. We'll talk again soon. thank you for joining me this week. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes. And if you are like me and want a world full of tarp pullers, then leave a review to help others find us. You can also follow me on Instagram at AndrewMoses123 and sign up for my email newsletter at everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter. I'll share tips and insights to help you achieve maximum success and happiness. Until next time, keep pulling the tarp.